okay with, or do you even remember what that question? That's who I had on my speakers list when we ended, and we hadn't got to R1 yet. So they were still speaking to the delegates.
Okay, so did you want me to try and get them in? I'm not sure if they're going to be available. I can send them an invite. Okay.
I don't, I think that if that was, that could be a question that if Director Nicholson, Salmon, and Smith had something directly to the delegation, or is that something you can ask staff? When we come to the next staff report is all about that too. Director Nicholson?
Excuse me, Madam, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Pardon me,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, we are live.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome back to the Special Electoral Area Services Committee. We had a brief recess of a few hours, and we are just getting back to reports. We had a delegation, and like I had said, I had 3 speakers, but I'm sure that they could ask those questions with staff. So we move on now to reports, and it's R1. Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item R1 is a staff report from the Community Planning Division regarding housing needs assessment reports for information.
Thank you so much. And we have I have Director Martman, Smith, anyone else? And Nicholson. Go ahead, Director Martman.
Thank you, Chair. I had a question on that there's some minor discrepancies in the reports for my area. And I was wondering what the process would be to get those amended.
Staff? I don't know if there's, this was for information. I don't know if there's any staff. Oh, there she is. Welcome back, Ms. Cheroff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure what happened to Ms. Breen, but I believe that there is time to make any necessary corrections to the reports. They do have to go to the province, I believe, before the end or sometime during March, before the end of March, perhaps. They have already gone to the board, so they've been formally received already, but we could, I think, make some minor changes to them just to correct any technical errors that might exist. I think that's totally reasonable.
Great. So Director Martman could talk to Ms. Breen.
So yeah, I would forward those requests directly to Coralie.
Thank you. And Director Smith.
Yes, I had the same question as Director Martman in, having an additional 200 houses in my area that I don't have in the report definitely skews the report and adds a 23% error. So I feel that, yes, there's areas I'd also like to have addressed. And one of the things I'd like to point out is that I'm sort of concerned about, we do have a lot of changes that are happening because of COVID, and I don't know that they're necessarily reflected in all our documents that through this process that has taken place. We have a lot of multi-generational family situations happening here in Area G, and I think those are probably the same in other areas that we have adult children moving in with their senior parents, or we have seniors moving in with their adult children, or we have more people purchasing homes that are the parents and the adult children. So some of those things are changing, and I'm not sure that this is actually reflected in our what we have happening in our communities at this time.
So you can check with Ms. Breen as well.
Yeah, and because this was required by the province, it came with limited parameters. And, we're all talking about our water sustainability and sewers and septics and soils and a lot of other things that are just not included when people are asked a question, when they make their answers on PlaySpeak, that some of those things, they're not thinking about that when they're answering that question. And sometimes they're not thinking about that could be right next door to them. So there's some things that I think are lacking from the government in asking for this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Nicholson and Morrison. Anyone else? Oh, Ms. Cheryl, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just I wanted to just to clarify that the housing needs reports are legislated by the province, as you know, and the province requires local governments to collect about 50 different standard data types. Because this was the first report of its nature, the CBRD did follow that standard criteria or format. Going forward, we do have the opportunity to supplement the report so we can look at other types of data if that is of interest to the board, so that we are perhaps providing relevance to specific issues for the region or individual communities. I think some things that were mentioned earlier were farm worker housing, short-term vacation rentals. So there could be supplementary work that occurs or data that's collected in relation to those types of topics. In terms of the data, like I said, the data sets were prescribed by the province, and because we were reliant on 2016 census data, that is clearly a limitation. So keep in mind with the 2016 census data actually looks at 2015 tax filer information. So we're now 6 years beyond the data, right? There will be obviously a new census in 2021. So the committee might want, or the board might want to discuss the opportunity to do an interim housing needs assessment either in 2022 or 2023 to update the data based on what comes out of the 2021 census. But you may not want to wait another 5 years. So you're required to do the reports every 5 years, but because of the timing of the introduction of the legislation and when the census was completed, everybody was forced to use the 2016 census data. So you may want to think about just the timing of the reports, and rather than waiting 5 years, doing the next report sooner.
I know that Ms. Breen had suggested that there could be some direction from this committee on certain data collection. I don't know if she could update us. I did see her on that. I know that Director Smith had asked about that, and she had mentioned that we could give direction to staff. And so I've forgotten exactly, but I made that a note of that. So Ms. Breen, could you just explain the data that you were looking for?
Yeah, direction. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about earlier.
That's okay.
So to direct staff to incorporate considerations such as tax files, etc. And even in that same resolution, it could be to update based on the 2021 census data results.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that this is such a good beginning and such a great base of what this assessment has started from the provincial level, that we could add on to it ourselves with this great data and improve it even more. And it's especially beneficial with our MOCPs and that. So I'm looking for a resolution from this committee if they wish to. Director Morrison.
There we go. Wasn't quite ready to go to a resolution, but I think I've got an idea, and I just want to suggest that staff are right. This is old data that we just had to plug into a template that we were given by the province, and it wasn't perfect, but I think that we as a committee and board can do the next board a really huge favor by suggesting that in 2022 that a abbreviated update be done to the base model of what we've got, so that the next board can make some, good decisions and strategic priorities around current data. So I think that would be a big help. I know that I sort of looked at this and looking what they were basing it on, I sort of took it with a grain of salt, because it would be in my wildest dreams that I have the kind of numbers that they're anticipating for my electoral area in the terms of growth and population. So I guess what I would suggest as a path forward is that we recommend to the board that that staff undertake a revision in 2022 of the housing needs assessment to be completed for the next term. And if there's a seconder, I'd just speak to that very briefly.
There's a seconder. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. This is basically just putting it into the work plan that it be. We have to wait for the census to be done. Staff can come forward and tell us what what the scope of that would be, and it would make sense to do. And I think it actually will give us a bit of a competitive advantage in some senses, because in working on the UBCM board, like, there's other areas that are doing these as well. And I can tell you, I'm glad that it got referred to electoral area services, because it's a common theme, but the urban-rural divide is alive and well throughout the province, where the electoral areas have increasingly different needs than our urban cores, and this would be a really great thing for us to have good data for the next board to move forward. And I think, as I said, give them a competitive advantage. I don't think this commits us to doing anything now, this resolution. It just puts it in the work plan for them to consider or for them to do for next year. Thanks.
Ms. Harrison, did you get that resolution?
Yes, Madam Chair, I did.
Okay, could you just read it out, and then
Thank you. That it be recommended to the board that a revision of the housing needs assessment reports be prepared for the next term.
Okay, so is everybody clear on Director Morrison? Did anybody want to speak to that? Go ahead, Director Nicholson.
Thank you. I really I like information and data, and we have this report, and I am not clear right now how we're going to use this report in the MOCP process that's underway. I am particularly interested in understanding what policies that we've had in place that have maybe contributed to the current situation, or what policies we have in place that are going to be barriers to addressing those needs. And I also think that, and so I would be interested to understand if Ms. Green could has a good handle on that and can explain it to me. And I'm also wondering whether this would be the highest priority for the modernized OCP, because it's going to take more resources and so forth. And it seems to me, based on that Director Smith made about, we have these needs, but we have very limited areas where we can actually address those needs in terms of water and sewer and so forth. So I guess my question is, would it be money well spent next year to do an update at this point in time in the MOCP process? And maybe that's something that Ms. Breen could comment on.
What if we vote on this resolution and then come back to that? Because this resolution is talking about the future board. You're wanting more immediate and direction, are you not?
Well, I think this resolution speaks to the work plan for 2022, which is next year.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Breen.
Through the chair, we have legislated requirements in the OCPs for population and housing projections. So the housing needs assessments will inform those projections to be used in the OCP. The beauty of having the electoral area housing, the individual housing needs assessment reports, with the caveat that there are discrepancies within the projections, they are projections, et cetera, but they can inform in the process of the MOCP, the development of neighborhood plans and local area plans. And so it's an important piece of information that, and the timing is really good for us. Even though we concur that the data will need to be updated based on the forthcoming census.
Follow up, Director Nicholson. I move to Director Morrison. Follow up. Go ahead, please.
But thank you. My question is, though, when is the best time to update that data? Should it be done next year, or should it be pushed off farther because of we have to balance competing needs with the work that needs to be done on the MOCP?
Well, through the chair, in my opinion, it's an important piece in terms of informing the MOCP. And the MOCP is well along the way right now. So staff worked very closely with the consultants on the development of the housing needs assessment reports. We're quite familiar with the material. And it probably wouldn't be certainly the same resources that were required in this development to modify and amend based on new data. So the timing of it would be good to use the new census data as we're developing and getting close probably to that first draft on the MOCP in 2022.
Director Morrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really don't think these are mutually exclusive by any means. I think that we could pass this resolution. I'm sure that the moment that the new census data arrives at the CBRD, staff will be on an update of this version that we have, and we'll look to using that brand new fresh data and future versions of the MOCP and HOCP. So I think that this is a forward-thinking step by saying, staff, we're asking you to do this, and if we push this off beyond 2022, then it's into the next term and beyond our scope and control. So I would suggest that we put this on the table for staff to deal with, and when they have the fresh data that comes in with the census, then they can get to work on it. And I don't think it'll be a big imposition into the work plan to get it done. So okay. I guess that you call the question.
Just looking for if there's any other hands. Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Okay, so actually we have no more discussion on this piece. We now move into question period again.
That is correct, Madam Chair, and we have no submissions at this time.
Okay,
but
so we have 10 minutes.
According to the policy, we have to recess for 10 minutes and wait for the public to have an opportunity to submit.
Thank you. So we will come back, recess in 10 minutes, so 5:12. See you back here. Bye-bye. That's slogging it.
You got us through it, leader.
Madam Chair, we are live.
Okay, thank you so much. We're not seeing any more. Welcome back, everyone. There is no public submissions for a question period. So a motion, do I have everyone? A motion to adjourn? I'm not seeing, I don't have a quorum.
Yeah, you do.
I do? One.
Count yourself.
Okay, so a motion to adjourn, Ms. Harrison? Moved and seconded? Okay, I got a lot of people jumping on board with that one. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, if anyone, any? Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a long day. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your evening, yes.